All right, well, welcome. My name is Stephanie Dirksen. I'm the Client Services and Social Media Manager here at the Aurora Project. And I have with me Subi Azim. She is a regulated immigration consultant and the owner of Boreal Canadian Immigration. Thanks for agreeing to do this interview, and congratulations on your business success. So why don't you start off by just telling us a bit about yourself and your business?
Thanks, Stephanie, for giving me this opportunity. I am Subi Azim, owner-operator of Boreal Canadian Immigration. And I started this company last year, 2019, February, after I just got my license to become a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, RCIC for short. Ever since that started in February, but the business actually really started to take off starting from May. So what I do mainly is I do advise clients about their immigration stream, which would work for them the best, and also represent them in their applications and submit applications on their behalf to the federal or provincial governments and the different departments mostly. So that's what I do most of the time, and I find it very rewarding.
Why did you decide to open your business? Did you see a need in the Brandon community for your services?
Absolutely. Well, I worked for somebody in the same field for about 2 years, and her field of specialty was not something that I was very interested in. I'm like she worked with companies more, but I wanted to work more with individuals and people. I like to having that personal connection with people while you're doing the work. I actually also have a background in law, and I find immigration to be so fascinating, especially myself am an immigrant. So I do the process for myself while doing it. It's such an interesting feeling, interesting process, and also if anybody who is immigrant who would know how actually is exciting and also very anxious this whole process is. So I was thought, okay, might as well, I'm gonna do it on my own. And also I in Brandon there are just a few consultants around, and I believe only one or two lawyers practice in this immigration. And if you hear from anybody who's lived in Brandon for over 10 years, you would hear them saying that Brandon has changed tremendously, and so many people have come in the past 10 or 15 years. So that means there's a huge demand, and whereas the supply is not very high. And just my partner's example, he wanted to have some advice about immigration, so he ended up driving all the way to Winnipeg just to ask one
Mm.
question. And I'm like, so calling ahead didn't occur to you? He's like, no, in my country we usually go and talk to people directly. so so
Yeah.
I think having some sort of local business, have local presence, is kind of what the town needs.
Yeah, I'm in my early 30s and I've lived in Brandon most of my life. And absolutely, Brandon has become a lot more diverse in the last 10, 20 years. So you mentioned that you're an immigrant. Was the
Mhm.
prospect of starting a business in a new country frightening or daunting in any way? Like, what were the initial challenges that you faced?
Well, I came as a student. My field of study was about social science, so and I did a lot of volunteering. So I had a pretty much good idea about the whole community services and what are available and how the Brandon community is like. So I had that advantage compared to a lot of newcomers who actually don't know what's happening and what's available in the community. However, what I found the most difficult was the finance part. I think that's the dreadful part for every new business starters. I had some savings, but at the same time, I wanted to have something to kind of support me continuously while I'm starting up the businesses, because obviously the expenses are huge in the beginning. I had to like work a few different part-time jobs here and there doing this registration and all that. It's just very difficult, and I find it. And also I didn't even know how the process would work, like didn't even know where to go to register my business, let's say. That took me some time to kind of do research and figure out. I went to, I believe, the company's office in Manitoba, the building that was supposed to help it, but there weren't many people. I think that department is no longer available or something like that. So I didn't find it very helpful. I had to do it a lot on my own. So that was difficult for me.
So when you were doing all this stuff on your own, how did the Aurora Project team help you with those initial challenges?
So I registered the business, but then my business plan was just very um, I had really high expectations of myself, kind of unrealistic. I had a business plan, so after I know about the Aurora, I went in and then we had a talk, and they kind of put me in place, kind of like, hey, no, this is kind of be step 1, step 2, step 3. And then you also have to kind of have realistic expectations. And then, so don't try to do everything at once, just kind of like break it down. That was really helpful. And then also the funding part, and they did also refer me to a few community organizations who were providing grants and funds for new business owners. I didn't actually end up needing to loan any money, but I just wanted to know, it was knowing that there were services available if I needed was kind of comforting at the time, especially when you're like so dreadful about money or don't know where your money next rent is going to be.
Yeah.
And Aurora too, because it wasn't just like a business sitting on the different sides of the table and speaking, this is what you need to do, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's more like a conversation style, and to think about, okay, how your business is going to be. And because of their own like background and experiences, they have a lot of understanding of immigration and immigrant, this type of field. So that was very helpful, especially they came in and say, okay, for my experience, this had worked before, this hasn't worked before, maybe try to think of that way. They're like very caring bunch of people are trying to help this young person, off of their like feet,
Yeah.
especially beginning.
Do you think it would have been easier, like the registration process? Do you think it would have been easier if you had been working with Aurora at that time?
I believe so, because I did it wrong and I had to pay again, do it again. So if I had like somebody like Aurora came and say, hey, no, this is how it works, 1, 2, 3, 4, and I might have saved some money in the wrong time too, right? All
Yeah.
of those late nights trying to in front of the computer. But oh well, finally figured it out.
Did the process itself, the step-by-step process, did that work for you? Was that helpful for you?
Yes, if you have a chance to look at the business plan that Aurora provides, it's not like 10 pages of written document. It's very visual. It's kind of like take one piece at a time, right? The visual part kind of helps me a lot instead of looking at this documents for 10 or 15 pages long. And that was very good. It's very personal and
Yeah.
customized, because they would like sit down with you and then say, okay, how about this? And it's very, very caring. And so I felt like I was in the right place in the right time with the right people. And I had the pricing wise, that Trenton had told me this, and I always remember that. I wanted to do for very cheap, like almost for free, just so I would promote my business, so I would have clients. But Trenton say, okay, you can maybe try to do that in the beginning just to promote your business, but if you keep doing that, you'll have so much cases build up, but you will make very little, because
Yeah.
business at the end of the day, you have to make a living. So I remember that. So of course I made I wouldn't say it's a mistake, but it was an experience, of course, somehow doing this for almost like a peanut for nothing. And then now I start to realize I actually have to put value on my service. Now I realize what he says. So
Yeah.
so the things like that, just having somebody who has experience kind of like guiding you as a mentor, that's what was really, really valuable. So you would be having so much cases on your own, and actually you won't be able to guarantee the quality, which is true. When you're like so drained by so many cases, you wouldn't be able to give 100%. So now
Right.
I learned to put the appropriate price and also deliver my 100%, right?
Yeah.
That's good for the client and good for myself as well.
So now that your business is up and running, you've got some clients, how do you feel now?
I feel definitely more confident and hopeful,
Yeah.
and in a way, because now I see, okay, the applications that I submitted, they're being approved, and I was like, okay, I actually can do this. I am good at it. And being approved, and people are starting to refer me to other people. It's like, okay, I'm starting to build up this reputation, let's say, or the client base bit by bit. I feel more hopeful for the future in terms of maybe even for finance wise. It's like, okay, I can make a living out of this. So that's what I feel now. And I do have other plans for the future too, but I am happy where I'm at. Of course, I have a lot of things I want to do,
Right.
but like Trenton says, one thing at a time.
And I'm glad that you feel good about like yourself and where you're at. Do you feel good knowing that you're helping others as well, that you're benefiting your community?
It's such a how do I say? It's such a rewarding feeling, and knowing that you have done an honest work, being able to sleep peacefully at night is such an amazing feeling. I had this one client who was referred to me by the MP's office actually, and he was stuck in the process wanting to bring his family over, but didn't have the right advice. So I was able to help him, and then his family was here within a month after we
Nice.
met. And then you can just see the happiness in his voice, and he cried over the phone. He says, "I thank you and thank God for being like reuniting me with my family." Like, just keep in mind they've been
Oh,
family been apart for more than 2 years, and
yeah, that's
the
hard.
COVID, right? All of those things happening. So that kind of things, and the people says, "Hey, you really helped me." Like, if you're an immigrant, sometimes it's like a yes or no kind of deal. If he gets a refuse, it's such a like anxiety feeling. Um, but being able to help, just like make somebody okay, you can now confidently, let's say if you want to go on to new adventure or business or do your own, like go on in life, right, comfortably without having to worry about those. So that's, I believe, is the most rewarding thing in this
Yeah.
business.
That's an absolutely beautiful story. And there's a lot of stories like that, right? Where families are separated.
Mhm.
One person comes and then tries to bring the other family later. And
And definitely having the right advice is so vital, because you don't want to spend like I feel so bad sometimes. People spend so much money, so much time, and it just doesn't work out because it's just not done right from the beginning, right? Might as
right.
well go for it and go to the right person, seek the right advice, and do it step by step and from the like in the right way.
So you mentioned some of your future plans. What else do you have planned for the growth of your business?
um I have a law degree from China. I studied Bachelor of Law there, but I didn't get to use it much until I'm doing the immigration, but now I always think in the back of my head that I want to be a lawyer. So
Mhm.
I have started the kind of process here to get my credits accredited here, and then also to attend the exams to become a lawyer. It's going to take some time. It's going to take a lot of work too, but I'm willing to try. I'm willing to go on that path because it might sound like not very authentic, but my mom has always wanted me to be a lawyer, and I haven't been able to meet my mother for more than 5 years. So I
Oh.
feel like this could be a good kind of a gift for her to know that her daughter is doing okay, in a different
Yeah.
country. Yeah.
Well, it's
So
wonderful
that's
that
my
you
plan. Yeah.
it's wonderful that you have that support from her. Would you continue to run your consulting business as a lawyer?
Exactly. So even when I become a lawyer, I still want to do the immigration part because I find it so interesting, because it's not just it's a lot about policies too, and policies keep changing all the time, especially this COVID times. You can't even keep up with them.
Right.
So immigration is going to be my field of choice still, and I love it.
Would you recommend Aurora Project to other newcomer entrepreneurs, given the success you've had?
Oh, 100%, 100%, especially if somebody is new to the community. Going to a local service like this is going to be so beneficial because they're going to be like the map to guide you through where to go, what to do. And then you will actually get more benefit knowing what resources available around you. And in my business right now, like there are some business immigrations and they would like to go with some Toronto big firm somewhere. And I always say, no, go with the local one, because how would a Toronto firm would know what's happening in Brandon?
Right.
So, or how the structure is. So if somebody wanting to start a business in Brandon or area or Manitoba, let's say, I would 100% recommend them to go to Aurora, a local business, local service too, to gain the most first-hand access and resources. I think it was last year before this COVID started, we were like Aurora was having kind of like a get together with community services to come and exchange ideas and businesses and all that. So it was in one of the sessions. There was another guy who was doing the photography and the thing, and he mentioned the idea of why don't you start a YouTube channel? So, and then Trenton was there too, and Trenton says, "Hey, this is a good idea. You should maybe consider it." I was so fearful of YouTube channel, and I did start it, although it's very immature, and it's just very early stages. But
Yeah,
I've seen the benefit of social media marketing so well. Instead of
yeah,
like you just post something very little and you get the reward right away. So
exactly.
from places like Aurora being able to give us this opportunity to exchange ideas with somebody, with other people, and then so I got this idea of social media marketing. So I'm really thankful to Aurora for that.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, online social media marketing is very important, and it puts a face to the business. Humanize yourself, right? And connect with your
Exactly.
potential future clients, right?
Yeah, they would know your personality and know a bit about you as a person too. So the personal connection, let's say business is like right now big marketing, all that, but at the end of the day it's the personal connection between me and my client that makes the most out of it. So again, like
Absolutely.
personal referrals are the most best of marketing, right?
How can people find your business?
Yeah, I have my own website. It's called www.borealcanadianimmigration.ca. I specifically picked this .ca instead of .com because this is a Canadian company. I wanted to represent the Canada. My phone number is 204-720-8160. You can find it from my website too. And I also have a Facebook business site, again under the name of Boreal Canadian Immigration, and Instagram as well, and YouTube, again under the name of Boreal Canadian Immigration. So if you know my business name, you'll find me everywhere.